Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Habermania. I am returning tonight because I can't sleep. I'm too excited about Ninja Turtles. So I decided that I would start to just get this get this recorded because we are going to be streaming Turtles once it comes. And I want to talk a little bit about what's got me excited about Turtles, what is really catching my eye about the way that they've designed this game, the artwork, the layout, the rules, the what we've seen thus far, and then just a little bit about me being a fan. So first off, let's take a look. So I'm looking at This Week in Pinball. They did a great job, great write up on Ninja Turtles. So this came out, right after the 24 hours of rumors. This came out to show off the games. So you got your three styles: your Pro, Premium, and LE. So the Pro, I think the Pro has the most exciting art package of the three of them. I think obviously the LE looks great, and I haven't really decided exactly if I like that more. I do really like the back glass on the LE, and we'll go through some of that here. But I like the fact that they have that lime green runner at the top on the back box. I like all the characters on the side. I like the sewer door being opened on the front by the lockdown. The coin door. I think they really captured everything. And I'm a big Leonardo fan, so there's a big Leo on the back glass. I really appreciate and enjoy that. When it comes to presentation, obviously the armor, powder coating, things like that. There's not really any armor on that. It's just kind of standard. If you want to get something fancy, you get all the way up to the LE. I think it's certainly possible that I would consider powder coating a game like this if it ends up being a keeper. And I'm starting with a Pro to kick that off. So here's the Pro playfield. So I'm looking over my right shoulder because I'm looking at the screen from there. Some things that I noticed when I looked at this was, first off, trying to see if you have my browser here. You do. All right. So as a left-handed player, I'm left-handed. I end up finding myself. I struggle with a upper right flipper when it comes to aiming it, timing it. I never seem to be on it as often as I'd like to be. And I've noticed that in regards to Wonka. So now Wonka has two upper flippers. The left flipper, I can hit the spinner, I can hit the gum targets. I can kind of get where I want to go pretty often. Now it's coming off of a stopping point, like it's coming from a magnet that's locked or held it most of the time, so I can react, whereas this one is going to be coming around the bend. But when I think about other games that were like that, I think of Iron Maiden and Jurassic Park. Both have flippers kind of on the upper right that you can use to kind of get some movement going. And I really I never found the timing on that. I even struggle with that on Sea Witch Beetles. You can kind of get that going as well. Again, with that upper right flipper. And generally it'd be like Hazard around here. To send it the other way. Now this one has that upper left flipper. The upper left flipper is going to just be a little bit more, if you're left hand centric, it's going to be a little bit more natural to hit with that button, hit with that flipper. So I'm actually looking forward to that. That's one of these weird things that generally speaking, you might not have thought of as a left-handed, right-handed player. It does add a level of uniqueness because there aren't as many upper left flipper games that I can think of. There's there's a Funhouse shot. I know Tron has one. Obviously there are others, but that was just a couple that popped off the top of my head. Other things that, like, before the game was ever launched, I talked about this on the Buffalo Pinball stream, but I was nervous about a bash toy, because when you start thinking about Borg's layouts and designs, especially modern Borg layouts and designs, you think about, you got Metallica, you got Guardians, you got Kiss, you got Aerosmith, you've got Munsters. All of them have bash toys. Aerosmith is not as much necessarily a bash toy, but you're kind of going for the box. Kiss, I guess that's unfair. I think of the shots, the way that they were presenting were similar. Like, Kiss and Aerosmith have a very similar layout. Metallica and Guardians have this very similar bash toy, because you're banging into the lock for Groot, you're banging into the to zap the guy in Metallica. You're trying to throw balls in for Aerosmith, and Kiss, you're going in the mouth, which is kind of lower right. Is a shot right next to the ramp. So you've seen the similarities, and then you go to Munsters, and like Munsters was a game. Yeah, again, I believe Borg was a big fan of Munsters, so he wanted to make that game. It sounded like that was something that he was really into, and the shots were good. They were solid. It felt good to hit that game, but it wasn't necessarily a deep game when it came to code. And when it came to, like, for me shooting it, I felt like if we did something along those lines, it would be something that was easy. You find a space that you need to fill, and you fill it with a bash toy. And that they didn't do that here. So, first off, we've got the pizza. Now, on the Data East pinball machine, there was a pizza. It was really, like, tactile, so it would spin. It took a little bit longer to get going because it was an older mechanic, and it'd spin and grab the ball a little bit. I wouldn't say that I felt like it grabbed the ball a lot, especially it didn't have a magnet, so it wasn't magnetizing the balls into that. It was also off to the left and kind of in front of the ramps. There was 2 entrances into the ramp, and it was kind of right over there. So it ended up being in a spot where you kind of had to go over to hit your shots, and it became a little frustrating. Now this one, if you want to take the left orbit, you don't have to worry about the pizza. If you want to take the right orbit, if you want to take the right ramp, if you want to take the training shot behind the upper left flipper, all available to you, safe without the pizza getting in the way. When you get into the middle, it's going to be crazy. And I would say, like, where it is, it looks to me, and obviously you won't know until you play, it looks to me like it's going to speed up the game, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult, it's going to be an on-the-fly game, you got to really get going with it. But you're going to be helped, in a sense, because if it's going over the pizza and twisting, you're going to get a little bit more left to right upper part of the playfield, and maybe a little bit more left to right as it goes down. So maybe it's getting thrown to the slings more than you'd like. Maybe it's getting thrown off to the sides a little bit more than you'd like. But you can tighten those out lanes with your posts. You can get bigger rubbers if you're feeling like that there's really a difficulty there. What you can't ever do is tighten the center hole, the center drain, unless you put in like a center post, which this does not have, and it does not need it. Ghostbusters was one that, like, people like installed a modified center post just to try to make that game more playable. I did not find that game to be very playable. So that's something that I really enjoy. That upper left flipper has a lot of shots, and any shot that is behind the flipper, for one, I am slower in the way that I flip. So, like, if I'm flipping off the left and I'm trying to, like, let's say backhand the left orbit, I'm going to block myself because I'm going to hold the button when I push the flip, and I'm going to block myself with the left flipper being up. So that's going to probably get a little frustrating. But in the same sense, if I'm shooting from the right, I'm gonna hold that left flipper open to get into that training shot, and I'm really excited about having the opportunity to get into those training modes, advance the levels of the characters, these turtles, and really make them more powerful. The idea that you have these training modes to upgrade your characters. The training modes are meant to hit certain shots. When you're in a training, you have to hit that shot. Now, for me, I need to work on my consistency. I need to work on my controlled shooting and my aim as a player. So the idea that I'm going to be playing a game that is asking me to do that is actually really exciting. That's something that is going to help me learn to be a better pinball player. And the fact that I am, if you hit something that is not the shot you were meant to hit, you're going to lose out, you're going to lose time, the countdown's going to go a little quicker, or maybe the value of that shot is going to go down. That's neat to me. Again, having not played it, I can't guarantee that's going to be a neat thing that I like every time I play. My hope is that it is. So that's another thing that I saw as a kind of neat opportunity. Also, just when it comes to ramps, I didn't want to see all plastic. I'm always concerned about a game that has a majority plastic ramps or a lot of plastic shots, because plastic can break. And when it comes to old games, things like the old TMNT, old Monopoly, you got Roller Coaster Tycoon. There were games out there that had old and lots of plastic ramps that could not be made anymore, or were not being made anymore, and were basically unable to be found. So even if a ramp would break, you would fill it with anything you can find, whether you like tape, plexiglass, you'd bend metal just to fill it. You'd do whatever you could to solve the problem rather than replace it. So that's something that I've always thought about when it comes to buying a game and having a game for the long term. I liked metal ramps, metal shots, and that's something like I liked Deadpool for that. It had a small metal ramp. Aerosmith also has a metal ramp. Now this one, the far left metal ramp is cut. I love the fact that it goes through the back box. That was something I'm not 100% sure. I believe Guardians did, but those were plastic. But I love the idea of it like kind of disappearing and coming back. So that's kind of just another exciting piece of being able to have a little bit of magic. Talking about magic, you talk about the way in which Turtles games could have gone. The other thing that a lot of people talked about was having a sewer, having a real underground ramp, some subway systems inside the game, so the game can kind of spit out from anywhere. And Borg actually talked about doing that and found that it was just when it came to the build of materials, it just really wasn't something that he could put into the game without having to then cut something. So he talked about potentially, he would have had a problem with having the diverter toy being in the games if he actually didn't do this properly and do this right. So he decided against that. And I think the subway system in Turtles on the Data East, for example, is the only one that I have owned, only game that I have owned that had a subway system that like returned the ball into the game. The metal door that covered the subway system where the balls came out of, that VUC was never all that strong. The balls always came out, but it never felt like a powerful thing or an exciting thing. It was just kind of like plop, plop, plop. And over time, I would think that a game could potentially wear out, so that is this theme calling to you? It is absolutely doing that. That's why I am like live streaming a talk about the game, because like I just can't stop thinking about it. I want to go to bed, but I can't because I have to get my mind off of Turtles for a little while. But what I was saying was the subway system was not something that I felt like was a necessary piece. It's actually something when you look at the play field. I know there's a locking mechanism for a ball behind the van. I want to look at that and see kind of what that is down the road. But one of the things I like about the play field is that the vast majority of what's here, there's no vuck, there's no up kicker of sorts, and maybe there is one. Maybe that's what's holding the ball in the back behind the van. There is a post. The post that pops up, I'm pretty sure there's a post that pops up in the training. And that's over here in this training area. And CNK, I am getting the Pro to start. That's what I can afford currently. That's what the budget will allow. I'm also selling that Gottlieb Hulk that's in the background, which might then help me get closer to maybe a secondhand premium down the road. But I couldn't wait. I couldn't afford an LE. So I said, I'm getting my Pro, I'm getting my hands on it as quickly as I can, and then I'll work from there to see if I want to advance or expand upon that with a premium or not. When it comes to kind of like the differences, when you think about the differences, that diverter was pretty neat. Like, I like the fact that what you see in the, let's pull that up, this diverter, that's kind of a neat toy. I like the toy's design. I'd be interested to see it in person because I want to know how much it blocks from your view. There's definitely games that I have that sometimes there's some view problems. Wonka, the back right corner, it's hard to know what's happening when the ball's coming out of the VUC, coming out of the Wonka Vision shot, excuse me. Then when it comes to the van, the premium on the van, I bought a Pro almost thinking that this was still there because this van didn't seem to have changed physically. It looked the same. So I thought, I'm like, oh, cool. I'm getting the same van experience that you'd get on the premium or the LE with balls coming out of the van. But that's not the case. That's disappointing. That is actually something that when it came to what exists with the features that exist on the premium, that absolutely is something that I was excited about, that I would want to see and experience as part of the game. Was it Krang up here on the pops? I love Krang. I think he's hilarious. I think he's a fun character. If he's bad mouthing you all game and you get to watch him bounce up and down, I think that would be really cool. I think back to the troll in Roller Coaster Tycoon, who's talking to you, he's kind of telling you the story, telling you what to do, shaking around. I've liked that as a thing. I will say that one, I remember it screwing up, and there would be if I turned the game on, it just constantly would say stuff because there was some error that I couldn't remember. I can't remember it right now what I had to do to fix it, but boy howdy, every single time I turned that thing on, it was like, hey, we'll do it again. Why don't you go to play? What are you doing? Hey, it's like, oh wow, no van, no van, sad face. The van's there. It's just it doesn't trap a ball, and the door doesn't open to then allow for the multi-ball. And in the end, the premium has 8 balls in the game, whereas the Pro has 6 balls. So there is no 8-ball multi-ball in the Pro. So that could be a considerable difference. Now, I have not owned a game that had an 8-ball. You know what? That might be wrong. How many balls are in Indiana Jones, the Williams game? I think that might have been a 6. Could have been an 8. When you get all the balls for Well of Souls, I think is the mode. So I own that game. But everything else I've owned, 6 balls I think was the maximum. I'm not 100% sure. Hey guys. So other things that I want to cover on talking about when it regards to this game, the button. So the button does do something. It's a pizza mode. I am pro button. I am pro button mashing mode. I love it on Star Wars. I think TIE Fighter multi-ball slamming the button to get to 40. That's like a cheap trick way for you to just like get something done in that game that I love. Just getting all those getting all those TIE Fighters and getting into a multi-ball. It's not flipper. Okay, Indiana had 6. Thank you, double flip. I wasn't 100% sure. And then like Indiana Stern, I know that had the Ark of the Covenant. Is that the same? Is that also a 6? Sorry, just noticed that sub. Hey, no problem. The yeah, Indiana Williams had 6. I think Indiana Stern probably had 6, maybe 8. Stern had 8. Okay, yeah, I was talking about the Williams one, but I was just thinking about like, was there another one that did? And Indiana Stern had 8. Okay, so that's again, that's a neat game. That's a neat mode, but that's not as full featured and as fun. So other things I can think of. So with the diverter, if you have the diverter, there's an extra mode with the diverter. You're using the diverter to move the ball from one to the other, so it's a little bit easier to get the shot you want because you can tell the diverter, hey, send it this way because I want to go for this shot. I think when it comes to what I need to work on as a player, I'll play the pro, and if I need to set up myself for a shot, I need to hit the thing that's going to set me up correctly. So that's not a major concern for me at the moment. When it comes to artwork, Zombie Yeti did the artwork. He's been talking on a couple podcasts kind of about his philosophy. I really appreciate one, like I love the 80s. I love the 80s Ninja Turtles. That's what I grew up on. That's what I watched. And when he talks about his artwork, and I have the 4 turtles on the stream screen here because what he talked about was that circular or cylindrical or non edgy imagery, and what he literally means is that like when it comes to a character, like all of the parts of Raphael are round. They have the round muscles, the round like the round edges to their masks. Their faces are round. The rounded nose. Like everything is soft edges. So it's more friendly, like more family friendly, softer and easier. Even with the way that they present, like Shredder. Shredder in a couple different instances is like covered in knives. And in this one, he looks like the Shredder from back then. He doesn't look as edgy. He still has his edges on his arms and things like that, but not as severe. I will say when it comes to the LE, I think the side art blades look great. I think the color powder coat looks great. I think they did a great job on that. I think the back glass was solid as well. Price wise, I think I ended up with a street price that's similar to what this is talking about for the Pro, and I think I'm making the right choice in getting a Pro early because that's going to fill my need. I'm going to get to play the game. I'm going to get to see it all that I can see as a player. All models, you got your pops. I love the pops. You got your theme music. You got your custom video scenes and events. When watching the stream, I appreciated the effort that went into everything that's on that LCD screen. They tried to recreate the animated series with 3D models from a 3D artist that had, like 6 to 12 months to do the work. And he's, pulling together scenes from at least there was like 8 episodes, 6 episodes, quite a few episodes. So they did a really good job trying to put that together. Now, there are certain features about like how they presented the turtles that like made like bother me a little bit, and that's really just art design, and like choices in like how did they decide to do the eyes. As you can see, like with the characters in the middle here on the live stream, when you have a big pupil, when the pupil fills the entire eye and doesn't come to an edge, it's big. It fills most of the pupil is huge, so that you're not getting a lot of white. And what you see in some of the LCD screen designs, the pupil isn't as large, so therefore the characters look a little bit more like dead-eyed, or not as playful, I guess you could say. And again, like that's not a like, oh my gosh, I can't have this game. No, it's absolutely not. In the same sense, I know a lot of people talked about April and how she's changed quite a bit. On the Data East game, she is grotesquely, sexualized on the back, and it's like, hey, if that's what you want, you get it. She's there. Enjoy. In the comics, she's rounded. She's a voluptuous woman in a sense. A voluptuous usually meaning kind of like large in scale. She's a small woman that is well endowed, and that's how characters were drawn at that time. But when we talk about the character of April O'Neil, she's running her butt off trying to get the story. She's all over the place. I think honestly they represented her very well in the, I think it was 2000, somewhere between 2007 and 2009 animated movie, in which she is a little younger. I think she was voiced by like Sarah Michelle Gellar. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. And she was petite. In the newer 2012, 2013 animated series, she's younger still, a teenager, and just kind of a scrawny girl that was really smart and are really involved in helping turn these turtles of that series into a team and into working together, and she was into learning what they were doing, and she was kind of in on the action, in the same way that April appeared in the comics and appeared in some of the movies. So some people were a little frustrated with the way that they presented her on the back glass, in the LCD displays. Again, like, it's not my favorite, but it did not bother me that they didn't kind of stick with a more representative of damsel in distress. She is all news. She is all action. She is all working towards her goals in the game as well. When it comes to we talked to the diverter, this lockdown mechanism to like stop the ball on the ramps, that was interesting. I like the idea of having that. It kind of allows for a show. Dwight's very good at a show. I would say, look, I would think of one of the last games lately that has really blown me away in the moments of the game. It would be Game of Thrones, and it would be the Blackwater multi-ball. That becomes a big moment in that game, and they are holding everything still. They're waiting to do what they want to do and present you with this moment. So that feels really good. I hope he finds ways to do something like that or something along those lines in this game. Obviously, it'd be great if it's a multi-ball, if he's able to do that with a multi-ball that's valuable and exciting. But if it's a mode, if it's a end, I'm excited to see what they choose to do there. And again, like, I just really can't get over Zombie Yeti's artwork. He just did a fantastic job capturing the style of that era, but also in his art. He didn't copy what he saw. He made it his own, and the characters look great. I love the cowabunga there, which is going to be a light. I appreciate that. Leo here. I like some of I think it's Raph eating a pizza here. I'm interested to see where like any hidden artwork that exists around the playfield. I'm interested to find that. Like, is there dripped ooze? Is there Foot Clan like hiding in the corners or in the wings? Kind of see something going on. I think that's just marking on the like prototype model. And there's the Technodrome. Love the Technodrome. I think that was a quality decision on using that on the playfield. I like the diverter because I like Raph too, and I love that that's like, hey, you got a tiny little Raph toy there in the on the playfield. I think when it comes to the modes, like when we started seeing what was existing within the modes, that pizza multi-ball looks hilarious. Every time that started in the stream, I was excited. The idea of like, oh, it's there at the pizza shop, and it's the Foot Clan serving the pizza. That's excellent. I thought that was well thought out and well captured. And in the same sense, thinking about like the playing the Turtles theme song on multi-ball. You know what? You're gonna hear that song a lot, and if you don't like it, then you're not gonna like that. It's gonna get repetitive. It's probably gonna bother you. It's gonna be a song that like all my family hears, and they are gonna get tired of it. And heck, maybe I will. I have no idea. But I haven't been tired of it for 30 years, so I think I'm gonna be okay. Now, rules and code. I think there was a lot of interesting rule usage, and step one is picking a turtle. I think that perfectly encapsulates this series. You've got your 4 turtles. You have a favorite. You're automatically like, let's say you're playing this game and you want to get through the 8 modes and get through the 3 multi balls and get to the wizard mode, and you do that with Raphael. Well, the game isn't going to change completely when you go play. Excuse me. You go play as Donatello or you go play as Leonardo, but your score will, if you shoot it all exactly the same. Your path to multi-ball and your path to training and your path to lighting the out ramp or the out lane, those are all going to change, and I think that's really a neat way to provide depth and breadth. Obviously, the training modes will be better as well. You'll be fine. I still enjoy Pinball Wizard. Yeah, exact. There you go. See, I like that. That's a good way of thinking of it. So, did you own a Tommy? And if so, how long? So, we're getting later in the day now. Okay, I just want to make sure. That's one I hear at the Pinball Gallery out here in Pennsylvania. So when we're starting to think about like, okay, how nuts are you as a fan of Ninja Turtles? Behind me, you'll see that on my wall, like right above my head, those are 4 silhouetted turtles on a canvas, and this one is actually a drawn Leonardo artwork from Cory Smith. Now, Cory Smith was working on. He was one of the artists hired to potentially work on artwork for the Ninja Turtles reboot in 2012, 2011. I was in the comic book industry at that time. I was actually hired as a marketing manager for a comic book company here in Pennsylvania. How do you know the names? How do you know the names of what, the artists or the characters? I'll have to check on that. So that was really somewhere where I fell in love with. I was working in the hobby because I loved entertainment. I loved video games. I was a video games guides writer for a couple years. I worked for IGN at a time and wrote video game guides for Transistor, a couple phone games like the Heist, Game Dev Story, and How Do You Know the Names? The Turtles. So yeah, well, I grew up with Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael as just a fan of the series, and having grown up with them all the time, they've just kind of been internalized. When you go and pick those characters and pick them in the game, like you'll learn kind of what their function is. It'd be pretty exciting to see how you go to enjoy them. So that'll be pretty interesting. But anyway, as I was in the industry, I went to my very first Comic Cons. I actually worked for this comic book company and was finding. I was going to Comic Cons as their marketing manager and running them, running their booths, running sales of materials and things like that. And I got to go to the Ninja Turtles launch, the TMNT launch of the new series at San Diego Comic Con. And this is a Leonardo toy from that first line. And this was what I got at Comic Con. It's just kind of like a trophy for being at the show. I had such a hard time getting over to the booth because I was working that show. I was working my butt off. And finally, like, got over there and I was like, do you have any more? And he's like, oh yeah, like I held you one. Because they knew I was working the show. I wasn't going to get over there real easily. The other neat part was, like, as I was walking into the show, I was able to get in early because I was working as an exhibitor. And so as I'm coming in, I see the security, like, by the door. And I'm like, yeah, I'm an exhibitor. I get in. And they're just like, hey, just so you know, like, you're here by this door. I wouldn't stay here because the Ninja Turtles are, opening the doors. And I was like, what? And sure enough, I stayed by the door to see, like, and they had all the turtles dressed up in their full costumes come through the doors to, like, open the doors for Comic-Con. And they were doing a quick walkthrough with cameras and walking to the Nickelodeon booth so people could see all the different toys and get pictures with the turtles. And it was adorable. It was an exciting moment to just be able to be there for that as well. And since then, like, I'm a collector. So as I was telling you, I had some of the artwork. You know, I went out and got all the Lego for, again, the release of the new 2012 Ninja Turtles. So this has got that's got a Shell Rider, and that's Raph. Again, like how he was designed in the new series. But they totally did all of these awesome, turtle toys at the time. So they re-released the new toys. They, you can get your classic. What up, loser kid? You're freaking awesome, dude. Teach me turtles. So when it comes to the turtles, I'm going to throw you another thing. This is I got so into these, I started searching, and I found this. Now, these are actually pretty easy to find now. This is kind of the original design of the Turtles. These are a NECA toy, N-E-C-A, and that's the classic look. They all have the red, but you learn the names based on the weapons. So Leonardo's the leader, and by that I mean he's kind of like the disciplined one. He's got the sword. So here on the screen, you can see here he is. We'll go through them. You can see him here. Leonardo, he's blue. He's got the two swords. He's the leader. He's disciplined. He's going to be the one that's, like better at training in this game. Donatello, he's the purple. He's the tech guy. He made this turtle phone. He comes up with some of the contraptions. He helped design the van, the turtle van. Make sure you get all the pieces in there. I think he designed the diverter, the helipad thing that's on that Raph is flying. Let me find a picture of that again. So that was designed by Donatello, and that is actually that comes disconnected from a flying turtle zeppelin, big old balloon that can be driven, and that thing is connected to the bottom of it to drive the balloon, and then it can separate. This was a toy that you can own back when I was a kid. So that's why that thing may look boring to some, but to me, I'm just like, yes, I had that toy. I love that toy. I miss that toy. So that brings us to Raphael. Raphael in the middle here on the screen. He is the one with the sides. Those are the kind of like little fork weapons. He holds them weird. Sometimes he holds them between his fingers. Sometimes he holds the handles. They're great to like grab. He twists them to like break weapons and twist guys. They're close by. He's the rude dude. He's kind of the pissed off guy, generally represented in the comics and in the animated series as kind of like the hard hitting New Yorker. Usually he's got a kind of a weird voice. He's a little rougher around the edges. He's like, Leo, we don't have to do this all the time. Leo, I don't want to hit a boss anymore. I don't want to follow the rules anymore. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna kick some shell. That's Raph. Raph is he doesn't follow the rules. In many of the comics and many of the series is represented. He wears the red. In the original comics, they all first they were black and white, and then when they were represented in color, they were all wearing red, and you could only tell their difference based on their weapon, because their characters weren't as fleshed out as they ended up becoming fleshed out in the cartoon. Now, Michelangelo's the fun-loving guy. He's the pizza-loving guy. He's the silly one. He's telling all the jokes. He's cracking wise. He's saying cowabunga, tubular, and awesome. He wants everybody else to say the funny things. He rides the skateboard. He would rather look good in the fight than do a lot of the fighting successfully. Generally, he's the one that kind of either kind of steps out of line and ends up getting them in trouble, or he's got the nunchucks. So he's spinning those nunchucks. He's doing all silly things. He's spinning on his finger. He's selling up helicopters to spin them around. He's a sillier character overall. And I think for everybody, there's a turtle for you. I grew up loving Leo. I love the swords. I like the discipline. I liked how consistently successful he was in battle. So when he was fighting, he always seemed to know what he was doing. He didn't seem to get surprised or knocked out. Again, I'm going to go back to there's a 2007 to 2010 movie called TMNT. It's an animated CGI movie. It's very well done. I think the representation of the turtles is really done well in there. Your turtles, great overview. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I got nothing on me. I'm just, remembering stuff. And I would say that that's a great introduction to what turtles are. When it comes to that movie, there isn't really a Shredder. There's Karai, who's like the leader of the Foot Clan, but she's more leading the Foot Clan so that they own the town. And then there is a villain in that's actually voiced by Sir Patrick Stewart, and does an excellent job with that character. When it comes to the other villains in the game and the villains in this series, here are your villains. So we've got Shredder is the main bad. He's the big bad. He wants to kill a Rokusaki, or and those names I may get wrong, so excuse me for that. I think it's a Rokusaki. That's Splinter. Splinter's the rat, or the big mouse. That's the leader and master of the Ninja Turtles. The rat taught them how to be ninjas. He found them in the sewer. He taught them everything he knows. He's their sensei. And Shredder is his polar opposite. They have always been at each other, and Shredder has come to basically just kill him, to finish him off. And he's frustrated by the Turtles because the Turtles stop him at every turn. Bebop and Rocksteady are basically other mutated dudes. They're represented. I saw a couple movies, I think. Okay, they're mutated guys. They're kind of dumb dimwits that do the bidding. They're the goons. They're kind of silly in the animated series. They're represented in the most recent Ninja Turtles movie that was in theaters. And I can't remember the name of it all of a sudden. It was a Michael Bay produced film. It wasn't very good, but I think the second one was better than the first. I don't necessarily remember. I did see them both. The newest movies were not something that I would recommend spending a lot of time taking to see. If you want to see a great representation of Turtles, there's also a movie called Turtles Forever. Turtles Forever was done in conjunction with a version of the Ninja Turtles that were out in the early aughts, late 90s, early aughts. That was a very good animated series. It was so good, in fact, that they ended up having to take the show, the show kind of jumped the shark. It started getting a little bit too serious, and they had to like take it off the air. But more for my son. There you go. Happy time for me. All right. Hey, you have a good one. I appreciate that. When it comes to movies, I could understand that sometimes they can get a little bit boring. That's a good one. Turtles Forever also brings together the kind of modern turtles of that time meet the 80s cartoon turtles, and they meet the original black and white comic turtles. So it's kind of funny to see like Leo, Raph, Don, and Mike in 3 different universes all together. So it was very, very interesting representation to see that movie and to see those characters. So that brings me to what? Down to the code. So playfield and code-based stuff, the layer target, the April target being a single stand-up to hit rather than multiple stand-ups or drop targets. I thought Deadpool would be more boring by having stand-up targets rather than drop targets. I thought the Pro was excellent. I never actually played a premium, so I don't know if it would have been that much better, but it wasn't worth the money to go upgrade for me. I didn't need the disco ball for disco multi-ball. There wasn't a lot in that game that I felt was coming with a upgrade from Pro to Premium. So how much is the difference? The difference financially is, let's go back to the top here. It's about like $1,500 to $2,000. So it's not nothing. It is a lot. So here you go. Yeah. So if you're on the lower end of the street price, you get it for $5,700, maybe $6,000 after taxes. If you're paying taxes, hopefully you are, or if you're not, hey, you're in a neat state that doesn't do that. The premium is supposed to be about $7,700, so you're looking at probably about $7,700 with taxes, and that's a lot. For me, $2,000 is another machine, and for me, I already have a Willy Wonka right here that I bought new in box last year. The only reason I was able to afford this game right off the bat, right up front, was because the COVID-19 situation for my family ended up providing us more money rather than less. We have saved months worth of daycare cost for caring for our daughter because she's been home with us. My wife and I have both been working throughout the closing. We're here in Pennsylvania, just as a FYI. We both are in positions where we can work from home for another couple of months before school opens up. And our daughter will be then going to kindergarten. So she will have the ability to move on into a situation where we have care for her. So we saved months worth of daycare. We got the stipend from the government, which was a non-zero amount. It was a considerable amount for our family because my wife and I both earned it, as well as we got a little bit for our daughter. Those all helped. I think because I was delayed on getting my taxes paid, I got my tax return back, and then we were actually, it's our 10th year wedding anniversary this year. My daughter just turned 5, and we were going to go celebrate by going to Disney World, and we had to cancel that. So there's another couple grand planned for a trip that ended up not happening. So that was why the Pro just became something I could do, and I want to express that because when I hear a couple people explaining or expressing frustration over the fact that they, people who buy the Pro or are getting off easy or cutting corners or they're not real collectors or whatever. I've heard some talk in that way. I'm a real collector. I'm buying one. I'm buying one new in box. I'm buying it from a distributor. I'm proud of being able to support both my distributor by being able to buy that game and support Stern at this time by getting an amazing game. And I'm buying it direct, buying it from a distributor. No Disney, go LE. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if I wasn't going to ever go to Disney, I'd get the full refund for my trip, and maybe I would buy the LE. But we are going to go. It's just we're not going right now. So some money is tied up in that, which is fine. But yeah, I'm spending the money, and it's going directly to the distributor who bought it from Stern. So distributor gets the money, and I bought what Stern provided. I'm not buying it secondhand up front. Last thing I want to make you aware of is when it comes to the way they built this game and saying that they went to like episodes of the show. I remember episodes that they have covered, very specifically the I Want a Body mode. That mode is an episode about Krang, this dude, this pink brain, needs this robot body that doesn't exist in the TMNT world. It exists in what is called Dimension X, which is where Krang is from, and he came through a portal to get here, or he's been like sent here because he was bad. But anyway, he needs that body. So Shredder is finding him the parts and finding out the ways to make that body in that episode, and literally has like a Frankenstein moment, like it's alive, it's alive. Those lines are in that show, and Shredder says them in this pinball game, which feels great because it's an exact, like kind of a replica moment of like Monster Bash, because that happened in Monster Bash. So that's fun. That'd be a very interesting fact. I was hearing a podcast where they were talking about like who said it's alive in a pinball game, and now there's like, was it Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is a pinball machine, and Monster Bash is a pinball machine, and now this one has those call outs too. It's like the most used call out in pinball. That isn't specifically about pinball. But other characters that you see here. So Krang is not Shredder's boss, but he's the boss from Dimension X. So he's kind of the biggest bad. Shredder is the main guy. Who would you buy from in PA? So generally speaking, I think most of the guys that I know who buy from Coin Taker. And they are, I think, based in this area. If he was selling in my if he was selling Stearns, I'd probably consider buying from Pinball Star. I bought from him a few times. I bought my Wonka from him, and I bought my Dialed In from him. The only other Stearns I've owned new in box was Guardians of the Galaxy, which I bought from Stern directly, so using the Stern rewards program. So this one was kind of new. I ended up going through Bill Disney. He is the owner and operator, Bill and Sherry Disney from Pinball Gallery. So that's my local venue where we play. It's in Malvern, Pennsylvania. But he's also a reseller of pinball machines. And generally speaking, his when he sells a game, it's going to be a little higher or closer to MSRP than some other distributors. Because he's not necessarily a full-fledged distributor. He runs a venue. He is a location-based location-based pinball location. He is selling the games that he buys as secondhand. So he isn't necessarily buying new in box all that often. But I figured to support him, since his venue has been closed for months, I purchased through him. So I don't know if I'm going to end up getting the game in the first batch or right away, or if I'm going to get it I might end up getting in the second batch because my order's, not through a distributor directly. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, I'm hoping that I get it pretty soon. I've seen them putting them in boxes on their Facebook page over the weekend or Monday. So I'm really hoping that that's something I get to see soon. And then the last pieces when it comes to characters that I really appreciate them bringing in. Slash is kind of like the mutated turtle that Shredder tries to use to fight off the turtles. I love the fact that he brought those in because it's a really cool looking bad guy. I think they did a good job presenting him on the LCD screen. And then this is Baxter Stockman. Baxter Stockman is trying to do all sorts of things with science to beat the turtles. He creates the Mousers that are really meant to kill Splinter, and they are trying to find the turtles in the sewer. and he does experiments on himself and turns himself into the Fly. This Baxter Stockman, the Fly. He is representative. He's the first or second boss you see in like the Ninja Turtles arcade machine. I pointed over here because I have one. I'll show you quickly. This is just the arcade 1-up Ninja Turtles pinball machine. Or arcade machine, excuse me. So that's a fun thing to be able to have as well. And they'll be, probably next to each other, but they'll definitely be in the same room. So they'll get along great. And that's what I love about this game, of bringing them all in. And you got Splinter up here kicking butt coming in. Test D Berry, welcome. And excuse me. The other, when it comes to like what they're bringing into the game, I've got to go. Thanks for all the info in the chat. CNK, thank you so much for popping in. Thank you for hanging out, chatting a little bit of Turtles with me. What's going on, D. Barry? Hopefully you're doing well. Hope you stream your Turtles. Yes, as soon as I have it, I will. And that's hoping that happens pretty soon. Doing great. Okay, glad to hear it. The other 2 episodes needed to unlocked. So when I'm talking about the episodes that are available in the game, they've got the 6 episodes that are randomly selected in the game. So you'll be able to not have to play linearly. That's really important to me because, I wouldn't want to be stuck on the same story or the same episode over and over and over again up front. I hated that with Ghostbusters, and I can't say that was originally all linear or if it was just the way that I shoot it was linear, but I'd never seen much of the game because I felt like I was never progressing far enough to see more of it. But like Guardians of the Galaxy, Deadpool, Deadpool, you can pick a different enemy. Does the display show high scores? Absolutely. So the display will be on the LCD screen. And the LCD screen, let me pull up might be able to pull up an image that shows you that. We'll take this image here. So right up here. So up here you'll be seeing actual LCD video that is presented there. You'll be able to see the scores. You'll have scores for all the Turtles. You'll be able to have a high score for Leo, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo. So you'll have a variety of choice in who you play and how those high scores turn out. Can you make a top 5? Generally speaking, you would have a top... I think you, in the game, have a top 5. I don't know if it's going to be for every character. You would have your initials, yes. You can also change the settings in the game. Here on the coin door, you can open that up and there's some buttons in there that would allow you to get into the code of what drives the game. And you can actually set it up so you could either say, give me 3 initials or give me like 10 digits. So you can actually have like a whole screen name in there rather than just the 3 initials. A lot of guys are classic. They've owned games since like the 80s and 90s where all you could put in was 3 initials. So therefore they're kind of, they appreciate or only want to put in those 3 initials. And some people are known for their initials. Like they're so good that they're like, if you go and you see this, D space F, it's like, okay, that's Dead Flip. We know that. We know that they're there. I like to sometimes add the initials to have the whole name. My Wonka has the ability to also do that, to have either initials or type in a whole name. So that's a lot of fun. Tomorrow, Goran. Tomorrow we Wonka. Okay, good, Goran. I really wanted to play you tonight, but you were playing some VR stuff, and I didn't want to interrupt you. So when you beat this thing tonight, are you going old school initials? Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to play that, play this tonight, because obviously this isn't out yet. It was just released, but just released means that it's on the production line. It's being built right now. I have ordered one, so like my money is in one, but I have not received mine just yet. You have to whoop it. I definitely want to whoop it. I want to whoop it good. And it's going to take some time to learn it. It's going to take some time to learn the shots and learn the geometry. But what's neat about it is that you've got the opportunity to say, like, all right, well, you know, what should I be shooting for? We're looking at This Week in Pinball is the website that I'm looking at that's just kind of helping me take a look at the playfield. And you can kind of see, let me find one that has the whole playfield here. I think there's a better shot. There we go. So this is going to be the version. So they come out with the multiple versions of the game. I'm getting my, this version. This is the Pro, meaning it's kind of meant to be on location, and it's the standard model. So it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that you can get with a potentially other machine. I'm not, not going to spend the extra, what could be thousands of dollars for some extra features and toys and kind of accoutrement in the game. I'm not going to be able to do that myself. I can't afford that out front. So I'm going to be doing it with the Pro model. But yeah, we're going to throw some initials in there as soon as we get in there. We're going to be able to get initials for each turtle for multi-ball modes. We won't be able to see it. No, I'm literally just talking about a game that isn't out yet. So D-Berry, follow the channel, and I will absolutely be playing this game in the next couple weeks. And when I do, it will say Pinball, and the title will likely be Playing Turtles rather than Talking Turtles. But yeah, sorry if that was not clear up front. We'll also try to make sure that you're seeing, where we are kind of on the layout. There'll be a picture of, me playing, but you'll also be able to see below it will be the that DMD, that LCD screen, that thing right here. That will actually be presented on this screen, so you can get a really good look of what's happening, how it's presented in a unique and interesting way, so that you guys can really get a feel for it. Goran, set up my play space at the beach, hanging some VR wires. Oh my gosh. VR wires in your beach? Well, I imagine you're not really able to like go out and do anything at the beach. Are you at Ocean City, or whereabouts do you end up going beaching? LBI. Long Beach? I posted a picture of Buffalo Discord off topic of what I did tonight. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. I will take a look at that right now, actually, because it's the internet. I can do that. Also, now that I'm coaching esports, I have like 30 Discord channels I'm in, and it's just too much. I can't keep up. Off topic. Where is it? Oh, hey. What is that? Is that a garage you got there? Ohio River, Long Beach Island. That's what I thought. Are you from the Ohio River? Oh, that's it. Okay. I got your Ohio River. Gotcha. So that's, you got Wonka. You got, is that Hobbit and Wizard? I think you have 4 games there. I can't tell what's there. That's a garage. Looks good. Looks exciting. But yeah, definitely will play some Wonka. I keep losing to Steve Dobbins. I don't know if you've played him yet. I had one good game against him. We played best of 3, me and him. And I lost, and then I lost and lost. So that's what's going on. And congratulations on your Stern Rewards situation there. Yep. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana. And a beach house, we have Wonka, South Park, Monster Mash Remake, Heavy Hitter, Old Chicago Hobbit, and Spanish Eyes on the way. Wow, that is really cool. That is some good stuff. I'd like to get some time on Hobbit. They had it at Pinball Gallery for a little bit, but it seemed to not behave, so they got rid of it. They sold it. Monster Mash Remake also, I'd love to like get to the wizard mode on that. Yeah, Steve Robbins beat me on something that I don't remember. Okay. Might have been Beatles while I was dialed in. Cool. I'm excited to play some more. I think I'm actually not doing so bad. So for DeBerry, what we're talking about is IFPA. The IFPA is pinball. It's the competitive pinball, if you're not familiar. And I do apologize if you are. I don't want to assume that you were not. But there is a ICR. The Big Dipper, the scariest roller coaster in the United States. Oh my goodness. So this is basically it's challenge matches. You can play a pinball game against another player anywhere in the world right now while we're in this COVID situation. And Goran, I don't know where you are. Andrew Goran, you are at 0.55. Awesome. So you're at 39th, and I'm falling off. I'm at 48th, so I'm right behind you. I'm going to catch you. Where am I these days? I'm pretty sure down pretty far. No, if you're in the top 64, you're in good shape. So honestly, you know, while you have, and obviously you see like Carl D'Angelo, he will be up further, and I'm sure there's people down here that are just like, yeah, no, he'll be up there in a bit. You know, Traub, he plays quite a bit, I think. It's just a matter of like when they play. But like, there's my wife. She's in there. We play with the Robinsons. They're both in here somewhere. Jay Robinson beat me. Neil McRae, he's played but hasn't won, it looks like. Yeah, you get a chance to play the game, so that's pretty cool. It's an old wooden coaster. You put your kids on it and hope the world doesn't collapse. Ew, that's terrifying. I also play the services. There's Brandon Service, it's Brandon. His father, Brian, is in here somewhere. We've got some local guys that are we got together Friday and played a few games, and I actually did quite well. So I ended up moving up the count a bit. So hopefully I'll continue that success. I'm not going to catch any of these people, but you know, keep playing, see how you do. Scariest roller coaster. Yeah, that definitely sounds terrifying, D-Berry. All right, so it is 1:45. That's late, so that's going to do it for me. That was a lot of fun chatting with you guys. I appreciate you coming into the channel, coming in, hanging out. Web capture, we don't need that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Coasters. Love me some coasters. I love some coasters too. As again, I was supposed to be at Disney World riding some coasters, but maybe next year. We'll see. All right, guys, have a good rest of your night. Thank you so much for chatting with some turtles, and we will be back. String rewards and see if it's truly a benefit. Oh, hey, we won't get tomorrow. Goran, the Stern Rewards program. I can't say on a camera how much you save on a game, but it is substantial. If you are in the market for a Stern game, it is a substantial savings. I bought my Guardians of the Galaxy on that, and it was basically a percentage that took the game that I could not afford to one that I could. So we can talk when we play tomorrow, and I'll give you the specifics. But yeah, if you're in the market for a Stern game, it will be worthwhile to use that Stern Rewards bonus. All right. I will see you, sir. And I see that you just messaged me. Can you pop it? I pop. I don't understand. I didn't get kicked. That's a bonus. Oh, no. You didn't get kicked. I'm glad you hung out. All right. I'll see you guys.